Hello, welcome to iDocker feature tutorial. On this one, I'm going to explain how this works first, since rarely I explain it on my video, and most of you have seen my video, but then sometimes you still send me questions and stuff. So look at this panel window over here. I have like the background layer. The background layer usually I use like a very sort of almost to the mid gray, but not, which is almost like in that color over here as my cursor pointing. The reason I don't use this instead of white or some other thing is because it's easier to kind of lay out the ground of mid-tone and build from there, and it's easier to put in light and dark if you want to do it right away, but for building up it's really good. And I have this bottom background. This is the way I work. You don't have to do it the same way, and I usually have that folder disregarded. It was just there. Usually I have a folder and I kind of like put the background layer and regular layer over here. So I paint on a normal, and then I usually merge them down and stuff, whatever. If I've used overlay or multiply or anything like that, I usually merge them down because it's make it feel like a little more like painting. And I usually make a copy of the layer that I already made, just in case if I want to go back, and if sometimes I work a little bit too far in the wrong direction, I can go back and have the file that I backed up. And this palette over here, most of the time when in the beginning of the sketch or concept design, I'll just use this gradient value over here, and it's because it's a lot easier to find the value without being confused with color to begin with. Sometimes you can paint with color right away, like as some of you have the facial construct too. I show you how to paint with color, but most of the time in the beginning, even in traditional painting, you still use the real sort of you still start off with the monochromatic just a little bit when you draw and kind of sketch things up, because in the shadow alone, shadow usually have the same color and value and temperature and stuff. So anyways, let's get started on this one. So this one, I'm tending to create the front view of a warrior, so I start with a circle and then drawing down as a shin line, and now we have like some sort of a facial structure, really rough. He's gonna be kind of like a warrior, strong kind of person type. It's gonna be, his face gonna be kind of mean and rough, and he's gonna look like somebody you don't want to mess with and stuff like that. And on this one, I'm gonna have him have like a darker skin, and kind of like all the features are kind of big. And when you draw face, it's important that you doing the shoulder within the face, because it's kind of adding a character. And this one is going to be sort of like a fantasy kind of guy, a medieval or any kind of like a fantasy video game that have. And then as you can see, I draw the line sort of like a midway in between the halfway the face that you have the eyes. It's like half of this the whole half of the length of the whole thing, and like the nose is gonna be the midway in between the eye line and the shin, the bottom of the face. And now establishing his eye socket, and then his lips, and the ears gonna line up with the eyes. So now I'm doing his hairline, and as you can see, I merge everything down, and then we're gonna copy a layer. And at this point, it's easier to start off with the opacity of 50%, and I lower the opacity of the normal copy over here to lower, and I paint it on 70%, and then it's kind of in the beginning I tend to use a low opacity so it doesn't get too dark right away. And recently I've been using a lot of opacity on the layer, as you can see over here, right, and also changing the opacity of the brush. The reason I do the opacity on the layer is because you can get the consistent, even if you go 100%, you get a consistent of like a really soft or lighter color and stuff. And you can also use the color from this palette arrange to get it lighter, so it doesn't really matter how you do it. So now I'm constructing his face, and you can see the chin and the cheekbones and things like that is very angular, and that's make a person look sort of very masculine. And now I'm going to the eyes. His eyes. This one I'm going for like a more realistic look of the character design. Now it's darker, and just make sure it's kind of very similar, because the more symmetry you can make him, then the better looking he'll be. And sometimes you could like draw one side and mirror the other side, but it's gonna look too symmetrical, so that works also. But it's a good challenge to kind of like make yourself do on a straight face and do it both sides. So now I'm applying some normal shadow there. Underneath the eye socket will receive the shadow, or below your eyebrows, always a shadow. The deeper the shadow, the deeper the eye socket. The darker the shadow, the deeper the eye socket. And then underneath the nose, you will also like the usual facial structure will receive the upper lips. Upper lip always, and underneath your lower lip or the chin ball. There you go. So now we got like a facial structure, and I usually start going in and start drawing the eyebrows, whatever shape you like it to be, and then just kind of adding up some more element. The ears. At this point, the color of the my brush is still not over 70% dark, and now I'm adding his sort of like a armor costume, so to kind of make it's kind of give you the ideas of and also giving you the feel of whatever you wanna him to look like in a medieval guy and things like that. And now I'm using another normal layer, as you can see layer. I'm blocking in value, and I use 50%, and I use 100% brush, and you get the consistency of the color. Some of you have like a brush stroke. If you want a consistency of the value of the brush, then use 100% brush, and then whatever value of the color range you want, then just apply it there. So now I got this. I only use normal layers so far, haven't applied any special layer yet, but it's all about value. It doesn't matter if you use multiply, overlay, or things like that. It might help, but I think it's also a good practice. If you get used to it, then you start doing it with just the range of gradation that you have, and just go and use normal layers and trying to arrange everything. So now I'm going in and trying to block in the established value that we have. All the value that we have over in here, it should be enough to be your starting point of establishing the value of overall this guy's face. So I'm just now I'm applying the part that will most likely not receive the light, or at least receive less light than like the side of the nose, underneath the eyes, under the cheekbone, on the side of the face. And those are not so dark, but compared to the part of the facial plane that got hit by the light, it will be slightly darker than the mid-tone of the overall value. So now we're establishing the basic value, and I'm going in and kind of like applying some basic armor structure on the shoulder. Also, you can see he got a shoulder plate. There you go. I'm just trying to make the whole thing fits together and things like that. So I just kind of quickly draw a bunch of stuff hanging and shoulder plate. So anyway, back to the face. Applying shadow down the nose. There you go. and then just a little bit here and there. Just play around with the mid-tone and try to sculpt it out and see, you know, the whole face. So now we got pretty much the basic value for the face. Usually underneath the eyes you get the, you know, that little bag underneath the eyes that you get receive a shadow a little bit. Especially the older you are, you get the bigger bag or the bigger puff. So now we have we're almost there. Just kind of just have to go slowly. And also on the eyelash, around the eyes, usually the upper eyelash for men, or even sometimes for female, usually darker than the lower eyelash, because it's directly sort of connected to the part that doesn't receive the light, so you usually get darker. And now I'm on the chin and everything, cheekbones and chin, make him a little more angular. So now I'm going into the eyebrows and apply a little darker color. But yeah, all the existing value right now, you can pretty much sculpt the face out and make him look realistic enough. And then in the end, you usually add the darkest dark and the lightest light. So you can see, you know, I use normal layer and I merge and I make a copy, and I use normal layer and I merge and I make a copy. So now I'm applying a darker value using, you know, soft brush to the lower part of the face, because now it's kind of like the world light that hit the face. And then I'm gonna go in and using a lighter color on the cheeks and on a certain part of the body. So now he look a little more real. On the lower lips also got hit by the lights. Okay. Okay, so this chapter I'm just gonna stop here, and the next chapter we are going to render his face even more, and we'll apply the lighter and darker. And as you can see, the last part that I did, I make his lower face darker, is because it's when the lights hit your face, it's kind of like hitting around here, and then the light have a weaker lighter effect on the, like, this lower part of the body, but the top part usually have more. But it depends on how strong the light is, and usually it's face are kind of like taper down, or even though you have a big jaw and things like that, you can sometimes there's like some bearded effect or something like that, so it's usually kind of darker around down here, and it's usually brighter around here. So I'll see you in chapter 2. We're gonna define even more of the facial structure using all the existing value over here. So see you in chapter 2.